Hello, I'm Marcus Boston. Quick video today, and I'm going to talk with you today about 5 of the common errors that can lead to a brain injury in a newborn. Now, this list is not exhaustive, and I'm not going to rank them in any particular order. This is just based on our experience and working with co-counsel on birth trauma or birth injury cases, specifically babies who have been diagnosed with HIE, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, or a subsequent CP diagnosis. So the first common error that we see is when nurses do not pay attention to the complaints of mom. That is really important, especially when you have situations in which mom is not this is not her first time giving birth, and mom may have complaints or mom may have concerns. Maybe things are not progressing with this labor and delivery like mom has experienced in the past, and mom has voiced these concerns. It's really important that nurses listen to what mom has to say and be able to explain or be able to help mom accordingly. The second thing, or the second common error that can lead to a baby suffering a brain injury at birth, is when nurses do not properly read the readings on the electronic fetal heart monitor. I've done a lot of videos in the past in which I have talked about the importance of the electronic fetal heart monitor. It's there to help doctors and nurses understand things like the baby's heart rate, variability, deceleration patterns, and other things. And so the electronic fetal heart monitor, as it's running during labor and delivery, it can help doctors and nurses also understand a condition called fetal distress. And for the context of this video, when we're talking about fetal distress, I'm looking at and I'm talking about a reduction in blood and oxygen. Okay, so fetal distress is a condition that can occur during labor and delivery, and the electronic fetal heart monitor can monitor and help doctors and nurses understand fetal distress. The problem with fetal distress is if it goes on for too long. Let's say you have a continuation of a reduction in blood and oxygen, that can also in some instances trigger another condition called HIE, or hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, which in its basic breakdown is a reduction in blood and oxygen, which can lead to a brain injury. So you don't have to be a medical doctor or a nurse to understand that babies can, if you've got a reduction in blood and oxygen for a considerable amount of time, that a baby, a human, we can suffer injury. So that second common error is not reading the electronic fetal heart monitor, a nurse not reading those strips the right way. The third common error that can lead to a brain injury is when nurses do not go up their chain of command, or they do not follow hospital protocol. Now, the context of this is that a nurse has their own independent duty. Their duty is to mom and baby. Those are the patients. Those are who she or he, that's what they're looking out for. And if a nurse feels that a doctor is not doing something right, or if there's problems, then a nurse has a duty to advocate on behalf of mom and baby. And so you can have situations in which sometimes nurses, they just won't do anything. They'll just kind of sit back. They know that some things are wrong, but they will defer to the doctor even though there's evidence or there's some serious problems that are there. So the third one is when nurses do not go up their chain of command or follow hospital protocol in that instant. The fourth common error that can lead to a baby suffering a brain injury is when doctors do not properly read and interpret the electronic fetal heart monitor. I'm not going to go back and rehash that and talk about that, but it's the same idea in regards to nurses. Electronic fetal heart monitor, though, the strips, you've got to read those the right way because they help in regards to understanding the baby's well-being. So that fourth one is when doctors also do not read the readings on the electronic fetal heart monitor the right way. And the fifth one is when you have either a delay in an emergency C-section or an emergency C-section is not performed at all. And with this one, sometimes what we can find is that mothers will think that, okay, well, they did do a C-section for me, and so, I guess everything was okay because they did do a C-section. But the analysis sometimes can be that the doctors waited too long to move to an emergency C-section. So remember earlier I talked about that fetal distress. I talked about the electronic fetal heart monitor. I talked about decelerations and things of that nature. What can sometimes occur is that you can have the injury can occur at a certain point in time. The injury is there and mom is still in labor and still pushing and still going on. Once that injury occurs, it's happened. So the question is going to be, well, did the doctors move to that emergency C-section fast enough? Was there a delay? Was the electronic fetal heart monitor suggesting that, okay, we got to get this baby out, because fetal distress is happening, the baby is not tolerating a vaginal delivery? So that fifth one is when there can be a delay in doctors moving to an emergency C-section, or not even doing one at all, even though, like I said, the monitor is suggesting that the baby is not tolerating a vaginal delivery and the baby is out of fetal reserve. So I know that this is a long video because I talked about a lot of things, and these are very important. This list that I just gave you, these 5, is not exhaustive. There are, there can be other issues that'll be present, but I just want to talk with you or give you an idea about some of the things that we see with these cases. Maybe you're here today because the things that I just talked about, maybe you have experienced these things and your baby has an HIE diagnosis, or maybe your baby had to do hypothermia cooling, or was blue in color, or had to be resuscitated, has suffered seizures, low APGAR scores, among other things. Maybe you've experienced these things and you have questions. If you would like to speak with me further about what you've got going on, there's a telephone number down below. Go ahead and pick up the phone and call me. I talk with families all the time about these issues. This is what we do. And I'll be happy to take some time and listen to your story. One more thing before I get out of here for today. I practice law here in the state of Maryland. And so, because this video is on the internet, if you contact me and you're not in Maryland, you gotta understand that I have to use, or we have to use, co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state. And that's something that we will help take care of, but we have to use co-counsel if this is a situation in which the case is not in Maryland and we think this is something that we might be able to assist you with. So I just want to make sure that you understand the co-counsel aspect of things. All right, that's going to be it for today's educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group LLC. We will see you next time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.